I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now.
Welcome, football fans, USFL fans, but most importantly, Houston Gamblers fans, to another episode of Gamblers Table Talk with Ace. I'm Ace, and joining me today is the newest, now offensive coordinator and QB coach for the Houston Gamblers, Coach Eric Price. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, man. That's a good intro there. I didn't know you were a player. I saw you in the pads. You look like a quarterback.
Yeah, that was a gift that another person in the community, he made it for me. He goes by Ducky. He won't tell anybody his real name, but he made that for me and sent it to me, and I thought it would be nice to put it in there. So
That's awesome.
Added it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Sweet.
All right. Well, Coach, I have notes. I want to go through your football life, and usually I like to start even with players, coaches, all the way back at the beginning. When did you first fall in love with the game of football and realize that this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life?
Well, I'd say probably when I was born. My dad was a coach, a long-time Washington State guy. And I was born in Pullman, Washington, and grew up going to the practices. And after school, my dad would meet me at the field, and I'd watch practice, and kind of just grew up that way, always around the game, always around the game. So I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. I don't think I ever thought of myself doing anything else. And so I was born into it. So it's been pretty adventurous life so far.
And then I assume you played yourself. There's not much information online, but when did you stop playing football and transition to coaching?
Well, I played at Weber State. And I'm glad it's not online, all the stuff when I played, because now I can say whatever I want and no one can prove me wrong. So I was a hell of a player. And
I love that.
My dad coached at Weber State, and then he left and went to Washington State, and I stayed at Weber State and finished my career there. And then so he was coaching at Washington State as the head coach at that time. That's when he first got that job. And then I just started coaching. My first coaching job was actually at University of Hawaii as a graduate assistant.
Was it really?
So, yeah. So
that's too cool.
It was rough. Single right. Got to go single right out of college. Got to go to Hawaii and coach. And I was thinking, man, this coaching gig is awesome, And then I started bouncing around and been in all kinds of. I've been from Hawaii to Miami to New York and everywhere in between. And at pretty much every level, I coached at the FCS, the 1AA level, at a couple places at Northern Arizona and Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and Weber State. And then in Division I, I coached at University of Miami and Washington State, obviously, and Penn State and Alabama, and just kind of kept bouncing around. And then in the NFL, I've coached at the New York Jets was my first NFL job. Worked for Herman Edwards there as a quarterback coach, and then went to Kansas City and coached for Herm also there with the Chiefs.
Oh, I have a photo of that for you, Coach, just so you can relive it.
Oh, do you?
There you go. Oh, yeah. Look at that. And who are those guys next to you? It's a little bit before my time.
I don't even know. Tyler Thigpen, one of them. So we had a bunch of quarterbacks. And we weren't quite as good as they are now.
Weird.
Strange enough.
It's hard to be as good as Patrick Mahomes, though. Like I don't care who you had.
But we loved it in Kansas City. That was awesome. And then the third NFL team I coached for was the Jaguars. And I was there for 4 years.
Here we go.
There you go. That's a little bit better picture.
That's a solid picture. I really like that one.
Yeah. I think I knew they were taking the picture, so I kind of posed for that one.
Nice. Okay. All right.
But most recently I was at Penn State, and then before that was at Jacksonville. And I've always coached quarterbacks and receivers, and I've been around a lot of different offenses. And I've been offensive coordinator at a bunch of different places, some really good offenses, and I've learned some things at each place and kind of putting it all together. That's why this is a good opportunity for me to to kind of put together some of the things that I've learned, good and bad. It hasn't all been wins and championships for me as a coach, but I've bounced around a lot and been around some great minds. That's one thing I've taken a little bit from every guy that I've worked for. Like when we were at the Jaguars, I was there for 4 years, and we had 4 different offensive coordinators. So,
really,
yeah. So I got a lot of football in my mind, and then I had a chance to coach at Tulane with Curtis Johnson for 4 years there. So I know what he. I know how to call it, and I know how to run it, and I know what it's like working for CJ, and it's awesome.
That is great. And I think I saw when you worked with him at Tulane, you had said that was before that you had been a coach on 16 different teams. That's a lot of coaching. And then to think that was that that was your second offensive coordinator position, I want to say?
Well, I was with my dad at UTEP as an offensive coordinator, and then we went to Alabama, and I was offensive coordinator, and then Memphis, I was an offensive coordinator, and Tulane offensive coordinator. So Tulane was a great place, man. We loved it there and loved working for CJ. It was kind of a tough time. It was after the hurricane, but it wasn't as built up as it is now. They had a great season this year. Coach Fritch at Tulane's done an unbelievable job. It's a great place, but we were just kind of starting to build it. Had a little bit of success, but CJ did a really good job. He's a real good players coach. He's very smart, offensive mind. Obviously he's been around some really good teams. So that was a good learning experience for me.
I thought it was interesting. So you were at UTEP from 2004 to 2007. Then you said you went to Alabama and then Memphis. And while you were at Memphis, you got to play against your dad.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, what was that experience like? I feel like it would be kind of full circle, right?
Yeah, it was. It was strange. And I think I did it twice, actually, played against him. Because I know I was kind of running that offense, the same offense as he was running, because that's kind of what I knew at the time. And we definitely had to self-scout each other and ourselves and make sure we're not giving away things. And even the calls at the line and stuff I had to change because I knew he's going to be knowing exactly what we're doing. So it was interesting. It was a little bit bittersweet. I've always obviously wanted my dad to win every game that he coaches, and that was the only game that I think that I ever.
Oh, I think we cut out for a second. There we are.
Yep.
I actually saw an interview with you in Memphis where you said that everybody in your family was rooting against you except your wife and kids for that game.
Yeah. The only one I was really disappointed was my mom. I was like, what?
You thought you'd at least get her on the fence, and then she chooses your dad.
She'd be happy for both of us, but
right.
There's kind of a little joke there, but it turned out okay.
Yes, sir. And then before we get into your camp and the way you're teaching now, I wanted to talk about some quotes that I got from you where you said that college coaching was great because you got to wear many hats. But then NFL was much more businesslike and very X's and O's football all the time. And I thought, well, the USFL is kind of almost a middle ground there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, was this job appealing to you because you get to wear many hats? I mean, they had coaches doing multiple positions last year, but it also is a little bit of the X's and O's and business part.
Yeah. I think the other thing about this league is we don't have as much time here before the start of the season. So we're trying to install an offense and usually you have all spring, summer, and then the training camp and things like that. Even in college, you have a lot more time to teach the players the scheme and stuff like that. So I think we're taking the approach to keep it simple and not as much volume as you would, especially in the NFL. In the NFL, you got huge playlists and all kinds of scheme, and the number of plays is very, very large. That's a huge difference. But here, I think everyone's here to kind of move on and trying to move up in their career, whether you're a player or a coach. And this is kind of like that in between stop where you can kind of prove yourself or reinvent yourself and prove yourself to somebody and get another look at the NFL or move on for wherever you want to go. So a lot of people, I think, in this league have the same goals, is to put some good film out there and win some games and get better and prove that you can play at the next level. So it's similar to college.
Mm-hmm. Well, you say that there's a similar goal through all the coaches and players. When you saw the position and you were offered it, what was your goal? What do you want to get out of the USFL? I think that's just interesting.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Sumlin has been a longtime friend of mine. He was actually a graduate assistant for my dad at Washington State way back when I was just getting out of college, and he was a graduate assistant, and I got to know him real well. It never worked for him. I've been close to working for him, but it just never matched up. I was somewhere where it didn't work out, and he called me this last year, and I think that was the number one thing that made me want to get into this league, is just to coach with Kevin. And I knew it was going to be a lot of fun, and it's just the spring thing, and I was just kind of looking for jobs, and I'm living in Jacksonville still, my family there, but it was just intriguing. It's all new. Never coached in a spring league or any other league other than the NFL and college. So it was just another challenge, and also a chance to coach with some people that I really enjoy being around. And then when Kevin moved on, just CJ got the job, and it was like, wow, that's lucky for me, because it's a guy that I've worked for, and I feel the same way about, and so everything's really worked out. So now I'm real fired up about the opportunity to have some success here for the Gamblers.
Well, I truly believe that you will. I don't know if you can tell, I'm somewhat of a Gamblers fan, just a little bit.
Good.
But with Kevin Sumlin moving on, it is sad. It was even sad for me as someone who just covers the team, that this guy that I've been watching and talking about for over a year now was moving on. But for you, kind of getting that opportunity, but then missing it. But then now with CJ, you get to work with someone, like you said, the same kind of feeling, the excitement. Did you have any part in him becoming the head coach, or was it just happenstance that it fell kind of perfectly into place?
It just fell perfectly in place. And matter of fact, when I had talked to him maybe the week before he got the job, but I didn't even tell him that I was coaching at the Gamblers. I don't even think I mentioned it, because we were talking about some other stuff. And when he got the job, I guess someone told him, Eric Price is on that staff. He was like, "You is?" He was going to call me and offer me a job, but I was already on the staff, so it worked out for both of us really easy. And so I'm real excited, because I do know his offense, and that it's originally, Saints, Sean Payton type offense, and CJ was with Sean Payton for a long time, and we ran the same offense at Tulane, and we'll do some tweaks and some changes to it, but that's where it originates from. And if I had to just run whatever offense I wanted to run anywhere, that's what I would have ran, and call it and be the coordinator. So it worked out great for me, and I think it worked out good for CJ, just having someone that he feels comfortable, that knows exactly what he wants and how he wants it done.
That's great. So when it comes to the play calling and everything, is it more of the two of you together talking about it and game planning for the week, instead of just you as the offensive coordinator?
Yeah. CJ has a lot involved, but he's real good at it. He is good at being the head coach, and he'll be involved in everything. Mm-hmm. And I think he trusts me to run it, because he knows I'm doing the things that I've learned under him. And so he has his expertise, and he'll be involved in game planning and everything like that. And on game days, I'm sure he did it at Tulane. He told me to take a shot here and do this and that. So it'll be a group effort, and we have a good staff, and we're all kind of just presenting the offense to each other right now. And I'm trying to teach the guys the terminology and all that kind of things, but it's going to be fun. I think it's going to work out pretty good.
Do you feel like it was kind of starting over from day one when you started with the Gamblers, when CJ came in, and then now you were learning the Kevin Sumlin offense, and then now you have to pivot and go back to the Eric Price, Curtis Johnson offense?
Yeah.
Restarting.
Yeah, because I was totally going to have to learn what Kevin wanted, because I'd never coached with him before, just been his friend for a long time, and I know what kind of things that he does, but it was truly trying to learn a new offense, and then I'm going to have to turn around and teach it to the players real quick. But now I have such a familiarity of this offense and the terminology. I could call the game and teach this offense just right off the top of my head. And so it's going to be smooth. It's not going to take long to do all that kind of stuff. Just get the other coaches up to speed with what we're doing and start rolling and getting these guys going on in the new offense, terminology wise.
That's great. And you were originally hired to be the wide receiver coach, which, especially early on in your career, was the position that you were primarily coaching.
Mm-hmm.
How did the process look when Coach Johnson came in to move to offensive coordinator and QB coach? Was it just kind of he showed up and he said, no, you're moving over to there? Or was it a discussion? What was it?
Yeah, that's what it was. I mean, when he got the job, I knew, because when I was at Tulane, I was actually just the offensive coordinator, and we had a quarterback coach and a receiver coach, and I was the coordinator, and I would basically kind of be the other quarterback coach. But CJ is a wide receiver guy. He is one of the best wide receiver coaches in the NFL for a long time. So he'll be involved in coaching the receivers at practice. You'll see him out there coaching the heck out of the wideouts, and that's his world, man. He loves it, and I think that's another reason why he likes me, because to take the receivers, he'll walk over there and take them, and he's really, really good at it. So our wideouts are going to be taught exactly like an NFL wide receiver would be taught, and do the same kind of things that they do in the NFL. So I think CJ is happy that he can do that.
I mean, you said he's one of the best in the NFL. He's one of the best ever, in my opinion, to have a national championship in college football and a Super Bowl, working under Sean Payton. It's prolific, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited. I'm close with some of the receivers, and I asked a few of them. They're very excited of that aspect of Coach Johnson, and then also him being fantastic players coach, leader, and man of faith. But I wanted to ask, now that you have moved over to the quarterbacks, have you started looking more at Kenji Bahar, Terry Wilson, and Montel Cozart? And what specifically are you excited about these three quarterbacks?
Well, right now I know that athletically they seem like they can run around, and that's just a huge bonus. If you can simplify the offense and don't screw them up with the scheme, and let them just have a clear head, no gray area, make a quick decision. If it's not there, they can take off and run it and get big third downs with their feet and do some quarterback run stuff. It gives you a lot of flexibility and creates a lot of problems for defenses when the guy can move around. I'm going to wait until I see these guys in person and work with them before I make a lot of comments individually on what they can do, because I want them to have a clean slate, and we're going to go into it and try to manipulate the scheme around what I think those guys can do, and not the other way around, and make sure that we're running things that whoever our starter is can do, and that's what we're going to focus on and what they're good at. And so, but I'm excited. I've watched the games, just kind of started doing all that, but it's really good talent. It's right there with their pros. They are pros, and so it's not quite the NFL, but there's a bunch of guys that can play in the NFL that'll be in this league and on our team. So it's a really good level of football. So I'm excited to work with them.
Yeah, and you have the added bonus to not only do you get to watch the Gamblers games from last year, but unlike the defensive coaches, you have a lot of the players returning. So you get to see what they did last season in this league in these conditions. Whereas the defense, I mean, I was going through all the players' names today. There's like 3 that are
Bunch
coming
of new
back.
guys,
4.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, so those guys, they really have a clean slate coming into camp, but you can kind of have an idea with some of them. I do love that you talked about the mobility of the quarterbacks, because I went and I'm probably the only person in the last couple of years who has gone and looked up highlights from the 2014 Tulane offense. But I was
Oh,
doing
yeah.
it that, early 2000s UTEP, and you usually have worked with, when you were an offensive coordinator, predominantly pocket passers.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know the mobility. You touched on it, but are you excited about that?
Yeah, big time. Big time. Because sometimes it could be third down and you call a play and they call the great defense and it's not going to work. And you're like, that's bad call. And all of a sudden the quarterback slips the guy and dives and gets the first down. And you're like, move the chains, let's go. And you look like a great coach. But it just gives you that extra thing that drives defenses crazy, because they can do their job essentially and you still get the first down. And then you can go be real creative in the ways you use his feet and get him out of the pocket. And it gives you so much more ability to be creative with your offense and with quarterback runs and reads and RPOs and movement plays and things like that. You don't need as much just straight drop back passing game when you have those kind of guys. So I'm real excited to see how creative we can get with this, and really have a lot of fun trying to design some things for these quarterbacks.
I'm also excited. I was watching specifically the game against Georgia Tech in 2014. You had just a beautifully executed reverse play that went for 30 yards. But as you mentioned earlier, it was pretty similar to what you said you were going to use in the USFL. A lot of simplification, a lot of throw it quick, get it away quick, not a lot of gray area. And I mean, I like it. And I love that. I was already excited watching it. And then now you're saying that you can get even more creative with it because of the quarterbacks. I'm just excited, Coach. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, that's good.
But
I like it. I'm excited too. I really am. And it's funny because as you go through the years and different systems and things like that, you take a little bit from wherever you've been. And even with CJ, since I left Tulane and he's back at the Saints and he was at Chicago, the offenses evolve and you change with the times and you continually tweak things and try to make it better. And so the things that we were doing at Tulane and the exact same things that the Saints were doing is going to be a little bit different. We're going to kind of taper it to the Gamblers personnel. And that is a fun thing about coaching, is you can sit in there, like I said, be creative and think of ways to do things and kind of come up with your own offense as you go and tinker with things and make them better as you go. So that's what me and CJ and the rest of the staff are kind of in the process of doing right now.
I love hearing that. I've had the defensive coordinator, Chris Wilson, on before, and now I'm having you as the offensive coordinator. And one thing that both of you have in common is that you specifically touched on the fact that you are going to create the scheme around the personnel, use the talent that you have. And I think that that's incredibly important, because I've seen a lot of teams, not even just the USFL, but college and the NFL, where it's really kind of formed around one person. For example, I'm a Vikings fan, and back in 2009 and 10, we had Adrian Peterson, and when he got hurt, we had nothing. So It's exciting to hear that you guys are just excited to use the entire personnel, and I think that is the name of the game in the USFL, is versatility, being able to work with what you got, and I just love hearing it.
Yeah, the whole league is kind of very intriguing to me, because it is kind of a startup league that's giving a lot of people a second chance or extra chances to develop their skills, whether the players or coaches. And it's really a place where everyone's going because they're getting this opportunity that you didn't normally get. as a coach and as a player. So if you're not in the NFL and or Canada or something like that, you're pretty much on the streets. And now all these people, all these coaches are getting this opportunity to extend their careers. And it's an awesome, awesome atmosphere to be around, where everyone's kind of thankful that they're here and thankful for this chance that they're getting.
I think that's been one of the biggest things that drew me to the league, was the fact that the people really do love the game. It's not 100% X's and O's in business, like you had said in an interview back in Memphis. And it's not 100% college and just developing young men. It's just a bunch of people who really love the game and really want to be a part of it. And there's something in that just draws me to it, because I also love the game. So very, very happy about it.
And I think we can have fun. It's not all just life and death here. I think we can have some fun and take some chances and just go out there and have a heck of a time. That's why another reason why I'm excited about this opportunity.
If you guys are having fun out there, I mean, people are going to want to watch it. That's good for ratings. That's good for the league. That's good for everything. Man. But we touched on the quarterbacks, how you're doing quarterback coaching here on the Gamblers. But you had taken kind of a step away from coaching for a while, and you'd gone into the Price Elite Passing, I'm almost there, Academy. There we go.
You got it.
The Price Elite Passing Academy. And I just want to hear about what made you want to do that, and how was it working with your dad on and off with it, and just developing young quarterbacks?
Yeah. So what I did was, I'd been bouncing around, like you said, it's like 18 places now. My daughter is in college and my son is a sophomore in high school. And so, like my daughter, she was born in New York when I was with the Jets. Then we moved to Alabama. Then we moved to El Paso. Then we moved to Kansas City. Then we moved to Memphis. Then we moved to New Orleans. Then we moved to Jacksonville. And then I get let go at Jacksonville and I go to Penn State. Well, I'm like, my son's just starting high school. My daughter's just starting college. I said, I'm not going to move him to Penn State. So I went there, coached at Penn State, and then I, I'd never seen my son play a game. He's a quarterback. He's really into the game, and I've never been to one of his games. So it all kind of came to a head, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to take the fall off, go back to Jacksonville and watch all his games and be with my daughter and everything like that. So that's what I did. So I sat out the fall, went to all his games, and then right before the fall, I went up to Washington where my dad's at. He's actually in Idaho, right on the border of Washington and Idaho. And some of the high school coaches that my dad knew were asking, so you're going to be around for a couple of weeks? And I was like, yeah. So they said, hey, would you mind coming out and coaching our quarterbacks? We'll pay you. And you can. And so all of a sudden, boom, all these people started calling. And so for a couple months, I started training. I trained probably 75 quarterbacks in the state of Washington, high school kids throughout the whole state. I started traveling around and just training them just to do it, just to help out, and kind of started that little thing on the internet. My nephews did social media stuff, so they kind of started the name and did all the tweets and stuff. But I just traveled around and did that, and then went back to Jacksonville and watched my son's games and spent time there. And I knew I was going to just get back into coaching. But this fall, I just was out and didn't want to do it. That's what I did, and traveled. And I've been here in El Paso to see my brother. My sister lives in Washington. I spent some time with them and my family. And we traveled around a little bit. And then, so this spring, I was going to continue to do that. But then I started looking for jobs. And that's when someone called me and I said, yeah, I'll do it. We'll do it, man. Let's go. So I couldn't stay out of it for more than a couple months, but it was a good couple months. It was fun.
Well, it looked like a good couple months, because when you got hired to the Gamblers, I heard about it and I immediately went and I was looking you up and I found your Facebook and I was watching some videos of you just giving updates while driving. And you looked happy. you were talking about spending time with your family and all that. And I think it's fantastic that you got to take that time off to just focus on that. And I know as a son myself, that they definitely appreciated it. So I just love that.
Yeah.
But also I have some pictures. It looks like you really had some fun. These kids didn't have fun with the sun in their eyes, but it looks like you had fun coaching. And then I have another one here. I think this one was grades 3 to 6. Some young kids.
Little kids, yeah. And this was, so you can see the old man in the background. I drug my dad around on these things too. So I really got to spend a lot of quality time with the old man there and got him out there. And he would talk to the kids, and in the state of Washington, at least their parents all know my dad's name from being at Washington State and all the things that he did there. So he enjoyed it. But we had a great time, me and my father, just hanging out and coaching high school. It was pretty much 3rd grade to high school kids. And we did a couple of camps and things like that. So it was outstanding. I figured I'd never get a chance to do that again because I'm going to jump right back into coaching. But it was well worth the time and the energy that I did, and never, forget the times with hanging out with my dad. Really.
I'm a big dad and football guy myself, so I loved seeing that, and I especially love the website that you said your nephew put together, and it's got a picture of you that you can click on. It's a big picture, and you can click on it, and it has kind of your history, and then there's just a small picture of your dad off on the side, and you can click on him. It's just a fun website. I really enjoy it, and it said coached by Eric Price and sometimes Mike Price. I just thought it was fun. So if anybody's
fired
watching,
up,
go check it out.
He was fired up at first, but he's getting old now, and he's not into this 5 days a week out there on the field. So he would show up for a little bit, all of a sudden, I'm not going to make this one. Not going to make this. I said, okay, we're changing the thing then. You're going to have a little small picture.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to go check it out, I got a good laugh out of it today. That's where I got these pictures, and there's some other good pictures. Good. I think your family's a pretty great example of how this game can really bring families together and give us reasons to be around each other, which sometimes sounds awful, but
right.
But sometimes family just needs a reason to be around each other, and that's when you really realize how much you enjoy it and each other. So it's awesome. It made me happy looking at it, Coach. I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. I'm glad you did.
All right. So the last thing I really wanted to ask was, what is the most exciting part of season 2 coming up to you?
Well, I think it's a little bit unknown right now for me as far as this league. But like I said, it sounds like Fox Sports is doing an outstanding job pubbing this thing up. We saw commercial after commercial in the playoffs and the Super Bowl and things like that about the USFL. And I think I know one thing, it'll be on every restaurant and bar in the United States of America. Every game will be on TV, and hopefully we can get people to watch it. So it's looks like it's moving in the right direction. It's really cool to be part of something that was just starting. And so that's what I'm looking for, offensively. I'm really, going to try to be real creative in all the stuff that we do, and try to put something out there that the fans are going to be excited to watch, and maybe do some things that they haven't seen before, stuff like that. So, we will, take it 1 week at a time and see where we're at. But I know we're going to give it a shot, and we're not going to be real conservative or anything like that. We're going to do some things and see how it goes. Put it all out there.
That is incredibly exciting to hear. But also, how are you excited to go back to Memphis?
Yeah, man, they got great. I'm ready for the ribs and all the restaurants there. So
I saw in your interview that you, when you got down there, you were learning how to smoke ribs yourself. So maybe you'll have to have the team over at one point and just smoke some ribs up.
Yeah, we did some of that when I was there. I had to do that again. Excited.
All right, Coach. Well, when we get to the end of the interview like this, I don't have any more questions for you. So we call it the end zone, and we hand the floor over to you. whether you have a brand that you're trying to promote, a message to Gamblers fans, or just shout outs to friends and family, this is your time, Coach. We do this to promote the league, to promote ourselves, but most importantly, to promote you all who are doing this and making this league happen.
I think maybe the first thing, I just wanted to thank Kevin Sumlin for giving me the opportunity to be on the staff. And then, of course, when CJ got the job, the same thing there. Real excited. For some reason, this has worked out just perfectly for me. And I'm going to definitely give back to the Gamblers, and I'm all in, man. I am all in. I need to get some gear, though, because I got a lot of people that are asking me to send them T-shirts and hats and stuff for the Houston Gamblers. So I'm going to have to go buy some and order some stuff. But like I said, I'm just pumped up, man. I'm fired up. I can't wait to meet the players. And I've gotten a chance to talk to a few of them. We're going to start, I'm sure we'll have meetings and stuff like that. And then once we get there, it'll be, all day, every day. But I'm excited to meet those guys. They seem real enthusiastic, as the coaching staff does as well. And seems like it's a good nucleus of players that they put together for us to play with. So, man, I'm just pumped up. I can't wait to get started.
Well, we can't wait either, Coach. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And for anybody out there who's trying to get this stuff, it's very high quality, I can tell you. I love this.
Look, I like it. I like the colors too, man. It's sweet.
Oh, love them. I'm glad that there was one team, the Pittsburgh Maulers, were purple and orange last year. I'm glad they're black and gold now. It was just kind of a weird. There's one high school in El Paso that has those colors, and it was always weird to me. So I'm glad they changed it.
Yep. Yeah,
but cool. Coach, thank you so much for coming on. I cannot wait to see what you guys do next season. It's exciting. It's pretty much a new staff. The only person who's been there since the beginning is Bob Morris, and it's just exciting. That's the nature of the beast of these leagues, and you just kind of embrace it and roll with it, and it seems to be fun so far. So I'm rolling. I'm all in, great. Like you said.
Awesome,
like
man.
We say.
Appreciate it, Ace. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Gamblers Table Talk with Ace. I'm Ace, joined by Gamblers' newest offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Eric Price. Coach, thank you again. Everybody, have a fantastic night.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I make